Okay, so part two. Our pieces are all leather hard to a little bit shy of leather hard. This is the base. And notice I haven't cut it off the wheel, okay? Or the bat. It's still stuck on there. I've got my bat mat down, so now I'm going to take that, and because that was centered and it's still stuck on there, now I can use the wheel to put my other pieces together. Here was my second section, and that I've cut free, and it's got the hole in the middle there. And I've got some extra clay here, but I'm just going to worry about that later because this I can trim off when I'm getting ready to put the very top piece on as well. So first thing I'm going to do, it's going to take a little water. I'm going to turn on my wheel. And remember, this one was a little wonky. So I'm just going to paint a little water on there. And I might just trim off that top surface. I'm trying to kind of hover. But I don't have to do too much because you'll see after I start to soften this guy up on the rim, I'm going to come back with my fork. I'm just going to score it up. So this will kind of help me level it too when I go to put the next piece on there. So score it up, score it up, score it up. And then I'll paint a little bit more. And actually, on the wheel, I've got some leftover water from when I threw earlier in the day. And so that's going to make a nice slip for me. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this piece. I'm just going to score it up by hand. And when I get that scored up, and a little bit of water on there. Maybe take a little bit of this slippy stuff from the morning. Paint that on there too. And I'm going to try to line them up as close as I can to one another, kind of so that they're sitting on top of each other. The little slow turn. I can bring my finger up, do it on this side so you can see. And if I know that like it's touching there, then I can push that a little bit more towards the center and then try again. Not too bad, but like right there. I want that to go a little bit more towards the middle. And we'll try one more time. All right, not too bad. Yeah, that's a little better. It's barely moving now. Okay, so I brought over just a little bit of soft-ish clay, and normally I wouldn't put soft clay together with dry leather hard clay, but I'm just going to be filling in this gap because like right now they're lined up, but I can see that gap really clearly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my fork and I'm going to like score, making kind of X marks. So I'm going this way and that way, all the way around to soften or rough up that surface. And then I'm going to paint that with a little bit of slip and water. And then if there's any bigger gaps, I'm going to take a little bit of clay, start packing it in there. So I've got a little bit of softness there to help me smooth in and fill in. But I don't want to rely heavily on this because if I do, then I might end up getting a crack. But a little bit of filler. stuff on the side that I threw from earlier. It's actually perfect because it's a little bit drier. All right. Now, sponge. Then I'm going to take my credit card and I'm going to start to scrape across that surface. So I'm doing this exactly on the opposite side of the camera. Let's do it on this side. So I'm scraping just like that. And you can see pretty quickly it's starting to come together and look like one form. It's got a little wobble, but once we stop the wheel, you don't see that little wobble nearly as much. I'm going to go over that one more time. In my more traditional seating position. Hit it with my sponge one more time. That's looking pretty good. Okay. Now, put on the top. It's pretty much the same. I'm only going to show you a little bit of this. And we'll break and finish up and throw in one more video. I'm trimming away the top a little bit. And I'm going to take that top piece that I threw earlier in the day. I'm going to see kind of how I like the way that it looks going together. Obviously, I've got more there than I need. So I could do a couple of things. I could put it lower, okay? Or I could cut away some here, or I could just blend those two guys together and eliminate a lot of it. But you can see that it's pretty thick on the inside. So before I start connecting it so my piece isn't so heavy, I'm just going to go in with this knife and thin it out a little bit. And it won't be pretty, but it'll be a lot thinner and lighter. So I can take a whole bunch away if I want on there. And I think I am going to cut this down a little bit. Make it a little bit easier for me to blend those two things together. So I got my knife right in front of me, just like with a needle tool. I'm going through this time until I get to there. And now this and this, yeah, that's going to match up a lot nicer. All right, so same process. Get a little water on there. Score her up. Nice and rough. Gonna score up this guy on the inside. Get some water on him. And here's one where I have to do that centering thing real slowly and carefully. So it's going to touch my finger there. So that's going in towards the center. So every time I can stop it where it touches me, push a little bit more towards the center. Not bad. You can also use like something like a knife and you scratch and then find the scratch. And wherever that scratch is, that's what gets pushed towards the middle. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, that's just about as good as I'm going to be able to get it, right? So now a little pressure down, start to get those pieces stuck together. I'm not going to use as much water this time because look how much extra clay I've got already. So I'm starting to work this down, pressing it in to the other piece. Just check and make sure it's still pretty centered. That's pretty good. All right, and now I'm going to take my loop tool, right? I'm going to come in. I'm going to start carving away the piece that I threw this morning until I get down to that middle section. Credit card. Let's get rid of this. And like, if you have something like this that you can clearly see with the wheel off, you can just take that off right away. You don't have to wait for the wheel to start combining these things that you know you want to get rid of when you turn the wheel on. So I'm going to start scraping. That into that. I'm going to fill a little gap here. This feels like it's going to need a little clay there. Sponge. Just applying a slight amount of pressure to try to get that a little bit more centered. I'm coming with that credit card again. You could do this with a rib. A little bit of pressure up here to try to get that to feel a little bit more centered. One more time. And there we have it, right? Now, the drawback making a stack piece is that I can't trim the base as easily, but I could come in at this point with this loop tool or the smaller one and kind of carve in a little bit. The smaller one would actually work a little bit easier. But a little bit of fine tuning, twist that off, cut it off with the wire. Stacked piece, only can throw bowls and kind of a form, and you get this out of it. So don't be afraid to try.